I'm going to change names for privacy, but this is all real. I didn't even notice my hands were shaking until I tried to turn the key in the ignition, and my fingers didn't want to cooperate. It was 11:57 p.m. when I pulled into the driveway of the house I shared with my husband, Caleb Finch, and his mother, Marjorie Finch. I'd been on the road almost 7 hours through rain so heavy it felt like the sky was trying to erase the highway. Traffic was stop and go for half the drive, the kind where your shoulders lock up, your jaw hurts from clenching, and you realize you've been holding your breath at red lights. All I wanted was one normal thing: a porch light, a warm "you're home," a dumb question like "how was the trip?" Something that made the house feel like a place that belonged to me too. Instead, the house looked dead. No porch light, no glow behind the curtains. No blue TV light flickering in the living room the way Caleb always had it, even when he claimed he was just listening. The windows were black. The yard lights were off. The wet driveway reflected nothing but the grayish shimmer of rain, and the second I saw it, my stomach did that slow drop, like stepping onto a stair you thought was there but isn't. Because a dark house isn't always a dark house. Sometimes it's a message. My name is Tessa Lane. I'm 34 and I work in compliance and risk for a healthcare company. It's the kind of job where you learn to treat vibes as data. You don't ignore patterns. You don't talk yourself out of what you see just because the truth is inconvenient. Which is ironic because for years I ignored the fine print of my own life. Caleb and I had been married 4 years. He used to be gentle in a quiet way, funny, without needing attention, affectionate without making a show of it, the kind of man who'd bring me coffee in bed on weekends and kiss my forehead like I was something precious. But somewhere after the wedding, the sweetness curdled. He started calling me intense when I asked basic questions. He started acting like my job was a phase while his ideas were future plans. And once his mom moved in temporarily, the air in the house changed in a way I can't fully explain unless you've lived it. Marjorie didn't scream. She didn't throw things. She didn't slam doors. She smiled while she dismissed you. She'd say things like, "Oh, honey, you're so tired. You're not thinking clearly." Or, "Caleb, it needs peace. You bring a lot of energy into the home." Sometimes she'd say it sweetly enough that I'd wonder if I imagined the insult. Then she'd say it again the next day, same smile, same tone, like she was training me to doubt my own ears. And then there was Evelyn. Technically, Evelyn wasn't Caleb's aunt. She was his great-aunt Marjorie's older relative. She'd had a bad fall the year before I came into the family, and she never fully bounced back. She used a cane, sometimes a walker. She spoke softly, like she didn't want to take up space. Marjorie insisted Evelyn needed to stay with us until we figure something out. But something out never came. Instead, Evelyn got moved into the converted back room. It used to be a sunroom. Now it was half storage and half forgotten. A bed shoved near the wall. A small dresser, a stack of boxes in the corner that nobody wanted to deal with. And somehow, without anyone ever saying it out loud, Evelyn became my responsibility. Not because I volunteered, because I was the only one who couldn't ignore her. If her water glass was empty, I noticed. If she hadn't eaten, I noticed. If her hands shook more than usual, I noticed. Caleb would say, "Babe, Mom's got it." And then he'd scroll on his phone like his thumbs were the only part of him with a job. Marjorie would say, "Evelyn is dramatic," and then complain that the groceries were too expensive, or that I bought the wrong brand of tea, or that women these days don't know how to make a house feel like a home. But I'd look at Evelyn small, quiet, proud, and I could not help, because she was a person, not an inconvenience. So when I finally got home that night, soaked from the rain and trembling with exhaustion, I tried to tell myself there was a normal explanation for the darkness. Maybe the power went out. Maybe they fell asleep early. Maybe Caleb finally decided to do something kind, like leave the porch light on, and it burned out at the worst time. I walked up to the door, fumbled my keys, slid the key into the lock, and the lock resisted. Not sticky lock, resisted. It was that sharp, wrong resistance of a deadbolt turned the other way. My breath caught. I tried again. The key turned, but the door didn't open. I stood there in the rain, staring at my own front door like it belonged to someone else. Then I remembered the garage keypad. I jogged around the side, punched in the code I irked. I stared at the display, blinking rain out of my eyes. I tried again. Same thing. My skin went cold. That's when I noticed something else. The little security panel you can see through the entry window normally glowing was dark. Not sleep mode dark, dead dark. I stepped closer to the glass and pressed my palm to it, trying to see inside. Nothing. The house wasn't just unlit, it was intentionally shut down. And right then, through all the exhaustion, a clear thought rose up. They don't want me here. I did the dumbest thing possible, which is what you do when you're tired and scared. I convinced myself I was overreacting. I walked around back. The rain was coming down in sheets, cold enough to sting. The patio light was off too. The motion sensor that usually flickered on when you got near the door didn't react at all. Then I saw it. The back window was slightly open. Just a crack. My heart started pounding because my first thought wasn't Caleb left it open. My first thought was, someone's been inside. But the second thought came just as fast. If someone's been inside, why does it feel like the house is holding its breath? I slid the window up and climbed in, soaking the carpet with my shoes. I stood still listening. No footsteps, no TV, no dishwasher hum, no voices, no music, just the sound of rain and my own breathing, too loud in the silence. The air smelled stale, like a house that hasn't been lived in for days. I turned on the kitchen light and flinched at how bright it felt. Like the house was protesting being seen. That's when I noticed the kitchen table. A single sheet of paper, held down by a mug. And beside it, like a punctuation mark, was my wedding ring. Not on my finger. On the table. My mouth went dry. I picked up the paper and read it once. Then again, slower. It wasn't a love note. It wasn't even an argument note. It was a typed letter with 2 signatures at the bottom, Caleb Finch and Marjorie Finch. Tessa, we needed space to think. We will not be answering calls. Do not contact the neighbors. Do not contact anyone from church. Don't create drama. Evelyn is in the back room. Make sure she stays there. We will discuss next steps when we return. Make sure she stays there. Not, please check on her. Not, make sure she eats. Not, call if anything happens. Just keep her contained, like she was a problem they didn't want wandering into the story they were preparing. I looked at the ring again, sitting there on the table like a threat, and it hit me, cold and clean. This wasn't a break. This wasn't space. This was a setup. I didn't even grab my suitcase. I walked fast down the hall, barefoot now, leaving wet shoes by the door without thinking. The back room door was closed, and the handle had a hook lock on it. We did not normally use that lock. My pulse thudded in my throat. I snapped it open and pushed inside. The smell hit me like a wall. Not just old room smell. Sour sweat, urine, stale sheets. Something sharp that made my eyes water. The room was dim, lit only by a dull street glow through a dusty curtain. On the bed was Evelyn. Her hair was plastered to her forehead. Her lips were cracked. Her face looked smaller than I remembered, like her skin had tightened around her bones. Her chest moved, but shallowly, unevenly. I rushed to her and touched her hand. Cold. Not a little chilly. Cold like she hadn't moved in a long time. I said her name once, softly. Then louder, panic creeping into my voice. No response. My brain started sprinting through worst-case scenarios. Stroke, infection, dehydration. Something awful that would be irreversible because of time. I ran back to the kitchen, grabbed a glass, filled it with water, grabbed a spoon, grabbed a clean towel. I came back like I could outrun death if I moved fast enough. I tipped water carefully to her mouth, using the spoon so I wouldn't choke her. At first, nothing. Then she swallowed weakly, once, twice. Her throat moved like it hurt. I made a sound I didn't recognize as my own, half sob and half gasp. I kept going slowly, whispering, "It's okay, it's okay," that okay, though I didn't know if it was. I wiped her face. I cleaned her hands. I tried to straighten her sheets, trying not to look too long at the bruising on her forearm. And then her hand moved. She grabbed my wrist. Tight, not weak at all. I froze. When I looked down, her eyes were on mine, sharp, focused, awake. "Don't call an ambulance," she said, clear as day. For a second I thought exhaustion had finally cracked me and I was hallucinating. Evelyn hadn't spoken a full sentence in months. She'd usually nod or murmur a word here and there, but nothing like this. "Evelyn," I whispered. Her grip tightened and her gaze flicked toward the hall like she was listening for footsteps that weren't there. "They'll blame you," she said. "That's what this is." My stomach rolled. "What are you talking about?" She swallowed carefully, then said, "Your husband didn't leave to think. He left to make sure you're holding the bag when something goes wrong." I sat back on my heels, staring at her like I didn't know her. Evelyn's breathing steadied a little. She looked exhausted, but there was something precise in the way she spoke, like she'd been holding words behind her teeth for a long time. "Open the bottom drawer of that dresser," she said. I hesitated, then did it. Inside was folded clothing, socks, a cardigan, and taped under the drawer, barely visible unless you were looking for it, was a thin, plain envelope. She nodded. "Take it." My fingers fumbled as I peeled it off. Inside were 3 things: a small spiral notebook with dates and times, a cheap prepaid phone, and a USB drive sealed in a plastic bag. My throat tightened. "Evelyn, what is this?" "It's proof," she said. "And insurance." I opened the notebook. The pages were filled with neat handwriting, packed with detail. Medication times, meals when they happened and when they didn't. Notes like, "Water withheld again," and "Door locked after Marjorie angry." Quotes written word for word, insults, threats, comments about money, comments about getting paperwork signed. Notes about Caleb coming into the room late at night and standing by the bed whispering, thinking she couldn't understand. One line made my vision go blurry. Power of attorney papers mentioned again. Caleb angry. When I refused. I looked up, my hands trembling. "They tried to make you sign something?" "They tried to make me sign everything," Evelyn said. "They want control. They want the story." "What story?" My voice sounded far away to my own ears. Evelyn's eyes didn't blink. "The story where you did this," she said. "The story where you're the negligent wife who resented caregiving. The story where I declined quickly while you were traveling." My blood went cold. Because I had been traveling. I'd been gone for work, and I could already hear how it would sound if someone wanted to twist it. Granting my brain a second to breathe, I asked, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Evelyn's gaze softened not much, but enough that I felt it. "I wasn't sure yet," she said. "And I needed to know if you were safe." "Safe from what?" She glanced toward the dark hallway again. "From being the scapegoat," she said. And she told me something that made my stomach twist into a knot. "Marjorie has been telling people you're unstable," Evelyn said. "That you forget my medicine, that you get angry, that you don't want me here." I felt sick. They were building a narrative, a quiet one. The kind that doesn't sound like an accusation when it's first planted. The kind that grows in people's minds until it feels like their own idea. I stared at Evelyn's notebook, at the careful dates and times, and I realized she wasn't just surviving. She was documenting. She was preparing. And then she said something that made my skin prickle. "I've been checking in with someone every morning at 9:09, she said. "If I miss 2 check-ins, that someone reports it." "Who?" I asked, barely able to speak. "A lawyer," she said. "A man who doesn't like your husband." The next morning, a man named Grant Morrow arrived, not barging in like a movie character. No dramatic entrance, Just a calm man in a gray coat carrying a folder and a portable charger, the way someone looks when they've handled ugly situations before and learned that panic only helps the abuser. He listened. He took notes. He photographed the hook lock on the outside of the door. He documented the condition of the room, the lack of accessible water, the state of the bedding. He asked Evelyn clear questions and gave her time to answer without rushing. Then he looked at me and said, "Tessa, I need you to understand something. If they can make you look negligent, they can destroy your life and walk away clean." My throat tightened. "So what do we do?" Grant nodded once. "We don't panic, we document, and we control the timeline." Evelyn, still weak but upright, said, "Text Caleb." I stared at her. "What? Tell him I fell," she said. "Tell him I'm not waking up." My stomach turned. "Evelyn, do it," she said, voice flat and steady. "I want to see what he tells you to do." Grant didn't stop her. That scared me more than anything, because it meant this wasn't just emotion. This was strategy. So I texted Caleb, "Something's wrong. Evelyn fell. She's barely breathing. What do I do?" 3 dots appeared almost immediately, like he'd been waiting for his phone to light up. His reply came in under 10 seconds. "Don't call 911. Don't tell anyone. You always overreact. Keep her in the back room. I'll handle it when I get home." I stared at the message until the words stopped looking like words and started looking like proof. He didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't ask what happened. He didn't tell me how to help. He told me to hide it. Grant exhaled slowly. That's very useful. Evelyn closed her eyes for a moment, like she was tasting something bitter, then opened them again. "Now we finish this," she said. What happened next wasn't instant karma. It wasn't a dramatic raid or a chandelier-lit trap. It was something colder and more effective. Paperwork. Documentation. Calls to the right agencies with the right evidence, so nobody could brush it off as family drama. Grant helped contact Adult Protective Services carefully, with documentation ready so it wouldn't become a he said, she said mess. He filed emergency legal paperwork to protect Evelyn from being moved or isolated again. He told me to write a timeline while it was fresh, because memory blurs under stress and people like Caleb count on that. I printed screenshots of Caleb's text messages. I wrote down the time I arrived, the condition Evelyn was in, the hook lock, the smell in the room, the lack of water. I took photos with timestamps. Grant took more. Evelyn rested, drank water, ate slowly. She wasn't magically healed. She was still fragile, still recovering. But she was safe enough to speak. And she was clear enough to be believed. Late the next afternoon, Caleb texted again, "We're coming home. Don't start anything." I didn't reply. Grant did something that made me laugh once. Sharp and humorless. He said, "When people think they have control, they get sloppy." They arrived at 7:18 p.m. I know that because the moment their headlights swept across the living room wall, something inside me clicked into a new place. Like a door in my mind locked behind me. Caleb walked in first, dragging a suitcase. Marjorie followed, carrying a bag and wearing the tight smile she used when she wanted to look like the victim later. And behind them, stepping in like she belonged there, was a woman I had never met, pretty, confident, and far too comfortable in my house. Caleb froze when he saw Grant sitting at the dining table. Marjorie's face tightened, then smoothed into performance. Caleb's eyes snapped to me, already angry, already blaming. "What is this?" he hissed. Grant stood calmly. "Caleb Finch. I represent Evelyn Hart." Marjorie's voice went sugary. "Evelyn? Oh goodness, is she okay? We were so worried." From the hallway, Evelyn's voice cut through the room. "Stop." They all turned. Evelyn stepped into the living room leaning on her cane. Not strong, not perfect, but upright, alert, present in a way that made Caleb's face drain of color. The other woman, whoever she was, took a small step back, like she suddenly realized she'd walked into the wrong room. Evelyn looked at Caleb the way you look at a stranger who broke into your house, not angry. Finished. You left me locked in a room, Evelyn said. Without water, Marjorie's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Caleb tried to recover like he always did, smoothing his tone, turning into the reasonable man for the audience. Evelyn, you're confused, he said. Tessa's been stressed. This is being twisted. Grant slid a folder across the table. It isn't twisted, he said. It's documented. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult them. He started reading. The hook lock placed on the outside of the door. The logbook. The condition of the room. The documented absence of care. Caleb's messages telling Tessa not to call for help. Notes about attempted paperwork and pressure. Then Grant said the sentence that made Marjorie's smile finally crack. Evelyn's assets are protected by emergency order. You have no authority over her, no access to her accounts, and no legal right to isolate her. Caleb blinked rapidly. What are you talking about? This is my house. Grant's tone stayed neutral. No, he said. It isn't. Marjorie snapped, voice rising. We have mail here. Grant nodded. So do squatters. That's when the knock came. Not cinematic, not dramatic. 2 uniformed officers and an APS worker stood on the porch, calm and patient, like the truth had finally arrived on schedule. Caleb's voice cracked when he looked at me. Tessa, what did you do? I looked at him and felt something I didn't expect. Not rage, not hatred, clarity. I stopped covering for you, I said. The woman who came in with them shifted again, eyes moving between Caleb and Marjorie, then to Evelyn with something like horror. She set her overnight bag down like it suddenly weighed too much. Apps interviewed Evelyn. The officers took statements. Grant handed over documentation. Nobody screamed. Nobody speamed. Nobody delivered a dramatic monologue. Caleb and Marjorie weren't dragged away that night. Reality doesn't always do that. What happened was worse for them in a quieter way. Their control evaporated. Caleb wasn't allowed near Evelyn. Marjorie wasn't allowed to manage anything. Their access to the home was restricted once the legal process began moving, and once you're exposed as the kind of person who locks an elderly woman in a room, people stop picking up your calls. In the weeks after, Caleb tried every tactic. He texted like we were still in an argument he could win if he found the right angle. You ruined my life over a misunderstanding. You're being manipulated. You're not the person I married. He called. He left voicemails that swung from sweet to furious. Marjorie tried to reach out through church contacts, through distant relatives, through people who barely knew me, but suddenly had opinions about family loyalty. But the more they tried to spin it, the more the facts held. Facts don't care about their tone. Facts don't get tired and give up. I filed for divorce. I moved my direct deposit. I locked my credit. I documented everything. I stopped negotiating with the version of Caleb that existed only in his own mind, the version who believed he could talk reality into changing. Months passed. There wasn't one neat ending, not one perfect courtroom moment where a judge slammed a gavel and everyone clapped. It was slower and uglier, and full of forms and phone calls and waiting. But it ended with outcomes that mattered. Protective orders, legal restrictions, civil consequences, investigations that didn't disappear just because Marjorie cried at the right time. Marjorie tried to paint herself as a devoted caregiver until someone produced the photos of the hook lock and the condition of the room. Caleb tried to paint me as unstable until his own text messages showed what he wanted me to do, hide in emergency instead of getting help. And the woman who came home with them that night, she vanished from Caleb's life the same way she appeared, quietly, quickly, opportunistically. Evelyn moved into a safer place with real care. Not because she was helpless, because nobody should have to be strong just to survive their own family. As for me, I didn't become fearless overnight. Healing isn't a movie montage, but I became someone who doesn't ignore red flags just because she's tired. I started sleeping through the night again. I ate dinner without bracing for criticism. I stopped living like love meant endurance. One afternoon, months later, Evelyn and I sat together in a small garden outside her new place. The light was soft, and the air smelled clean in a way my old house never did. She looked at me for a long time, then said, "Kindness isn't what made you easy to use." I didn't answer. I just waited, because I'd learned Evelyn didn't waste words. "It's what made you dangerous," she finished, "once you finally saw the truth." So yeah, that's how I learned the darkest house on the block can be brighter than your marriage. Because darkness doesn't always mean nobody's home. Sometimes it means someone is hiding something. If you're listening to this and you feel that twist in your stomach because something in your life feels wrong, please hear me. You're not crazy for noticing patterns. You're not dramatic for wanting basic safety. And you're not obligated to be the cleanup crew for people who create harm and then act surprised when you stop absorbing it.